So today the chapter 9 questions. So before going to the question, we're going to have a quick review of chapter 9 and we'll see that's like a revision for chapter number 9. Then we go for the past paper question. Okay. So this in this chapter, we talk about the natural ecosystem and the human activities, how the human activities are affecting the natural ecosystem. First of all, we have the definition of the ecosystem. They're saying that all living things together and non-living things together in an area, they make an ecosystem. And living things are known as biotic components, and the non-living things are known as abiotic components. And they are sometimes they're also known as factors, biotic factors and abiotic factors. So there are some definitions we will use there. So first is the population. Population we already discussed in the previous chapter. Population means the total number of one species. Only one species. If you count all the numbers, all how many organisms for that specific species, so that's known as population. And when different populations are living together, that's known as community. After that, the habitat means the place within the ecosystem where the organism live, that's known as habitat. After that, you have niche or niche, both are correct. The role of species within the ecosystem. What is the role of a species in the ecosystem? For example, plants, their role is a producer. They produce the food for others. Their other role is to provide the oxygen and absorb the carbon dioxide. So these are the whatever the role of each species in an ecosystem, it's known as niche of that species. Biotic factors. Now we'll see what are the biotic factors. We studied that the biotic factor mean living things. In that you have producers, especially the plants, primary consumers mean which use the producers in the first stage, then who eat the primary consumer, they are known as secondary consumers, and secondary consumers are eaten by tertiary. After that you have decomposer mean which will decompose, break down the organism, especially the dead organisms. See here, so they have given here the definition, can say diagram. So here you can see easily that this is in the bottom you'll find producers. Here you find producers. After that, primary, the insects or the organisms which eat the producer, they are known as primary consumers. And the organism which eat the primary consumer, they are known as secondary. In the same way, you have the tertiary consumers. So this is known as the diagram which shows the producer, consumer, all this one. One more diagram, they have the same thing. This is the decomposer at the bottom. Then you have primary producer or producer. Then you have primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumers, or top carnivores. Now, when you arrange them in a link, like for example, you can say this is the producer, it is eaten by this one, then this is here, then all this one. When you make a link between them, so they are known as food chains. When you link the producer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, and tertiary consumer, or the top, you can say consumer, it is the known as that you can say the food chain. After that, abiotic factors, the factor which are we talk about the non-living thing, they are temperature, humidity, water, oxygen, that salinity, light, pH of that one. All these are also important. So they are known as the abiotic factor. Temperature, you know that the living things, they survive in different temperatures. Humidity level also, the amount of water vapor in the air. Then water is essential. Oxygen also. Salinity means the amount of the salt in something. Then you have light also important factor. The pH of the soil, pH of the lakes, pH of the water, it also a important thing in ecosystem. Here they can just differentiate biotic and abiotic, you can say factors or components. Then you have ecosystem processes. Number one, the food chain. As I told you that here they are getting the main source of energy is sun. then these are the producers, then primary consumers, secondary consumer, tertiary consumers, and the top level consumer. So all these, so this is known as a food chain. Here they have another given another one. After that, food web. In the food web, it is a combination of different food chains. Different food chains, they combine together and they make a food web. For example, here you see the plant. Now you can go it by this way. So this is a primary consumer. Then it is eaten by this one. So it is known as secondary consumer. If you go by this way, this is the primary consumer. If you go by this way, this is the secondary, or if you go this way, it's also secondary. Now come to this side. This is another one. For example, it goes like this. This is the primary consumer. This is the secondary consumer. Okay. And after that, if you go by this way, this one, this is primary consumer, then secondary consumer, then tertiary consumer, then this top level, you can say the consumer. So all here in this food web, you will find different food chains. So different food chains, they make a food web. Here's another, the food web is given here. Now we will see here the trophic level. The trophic level is quite simple. When you are talking about that, let's say this is the producer, this is the primary consumer, and this is the secondary consumer. So all these are known as level 1, 2, 3, 4. So they are trophic levels. So how many levels, trophic levels are here? 4. It will come in further detail. After that, you have the pyramid of numbers. When you have in an area, you are describing the food chain, but in the help of numbers. You can see here how many leaves are there, 100,000. Then caterpillars, 10,000. Then you have blue tits, you have 100, and then you have the bird. This is, and so when you make a pyramid in such a way, you will write the number or the you can say population of each species on different food levels. So that is known as pyramid of numbers. Then you have the energy pyramid. Energy pyramid, you will define the energy. Energy is transferring from one, you can say, trophic level to other. They're saying that here, if you have, this is the primary producers. They are taking the energy from the sun. Next is primary consumers. So they're saying that this is a rule. What is the rule for energy pyramid? Only 10% goes up. Only 10%. For example, you have 100% energy here. From 100, only 10% will go. Other 90% will be waste. And now this is 10. From that 10, again 10%. And 10% of 10 is 1%. So this will go again, 90% is waste. Then from it, 0.1%. Then from it, like this, each energy level, 90% energy is wasted. Only 10% energy is transferred to next trophic level. So that's why the energy pyramid cannot go further, except, for example, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 only, or maximum 6, because then energy level become really less. Again, they have given the same thing here, how it's going, only 10% going, and this is the rule, which I told you, this is the rule, only 10%, other 90% is wasted. Now the energy, where that energy goes, so they're saying the energy is lost during the transfer as a heat to the environment, uses by the cell respiration, used for the growth, lost of the fishes, the waste from the animals, lost of incomplete digestion, food chain, all this one. This is the energy where it goes. The energy, which energy is used. After that, photosynthesis, this is, as a bio student, you should know, it is a process in which the plants make the food, and it's by using carbon dioxide, water from plants. So this is all the stuff. Respiration is like opposite. This is like here at night, it happens respiration. In the day, it is photosynthesis. This is a comparison between them. Occurs in the light. Okay, occurs can all the time, requires energy, release energy, like this. And then these are the two, you can say, the chemical equation. First is for the photosynthesis, other is cellular respiration. So you can see here they are exactly opposite to each other. You can see here carbon dioxide, water, energy give you this one. Now this is glucose plus oxygen, give carbon dioxide, water, and energy. After that, biotic interaction, that when the living organisms are there in the ecosystem, they have like a competition that they can survive, because which are more stronger, like physique wise, they can survive in the hard, you can say, habitat also, or the weather conditions, so they are alive, other will be die. Predators mean which will eat the other, the consumers. Then you have the pollination, is the process when the pollen grains from one flower to another flower, then the process start and the seeds and other things are produced. Mineral cycle mean that the different minerals, they are in a cycle in the ecosystem, and that can be oxygen cycle. You can see how the oxygen is going from down to up in a cycle. Then you have a sulfur cycle, how the sulfur going into atmosphere coming back. And then you have a nitrogen cycle, you can see here. And then this is the definitions. After that, we talk about the wetlands. Wetlands are the areas in which you can find the water is there, and the other is a dry land but very moist. You can see the different type of this one. The importance of the wetlands, so they're saying they protect the shoreline. Shoreline means the banks of the rivers, the lakes, the ocean, they are known as shoreline. So they will stop, for example, these are the, you can say, the shoreline, and they protect them. Wetland protect the soil erosion. After the maintenance of the water quality, they also maintain the water quality. They also control the flood. Sometimes the flood comes, so wetlands have enough capacity to store the water. Recharging the aquifers. Aquifers mean the water reservoirs down, so sometimes the water seeps into, or you can say goes, infiltration happens, water goes down, so that increase the water level. Biological productivity, so these also were really good for biological productivity. Why? Because they are a habitat for thousands of the organisms. Causes of the loss of the habitat, sometimes the habitat is lost of the wet in the wetland. What is the reason for that? Drainage of the wetland. Water is drainage from there for different purposes, maybe for forest, or for the agriculture, or sometime like the mosquito control, or sometimes the pollutants come there. So like this, they're different things. Intensive agriculture practice, and sometimes habitat is lost due to the intensive, you are taking the agriculture more and more crops you are taking, over cultivation, deforestation, all these are known as the reason for loss of habitat. If the habitat is lost, what is the impact? The extinction, for example, the species can be disappear from the earth. Loss of biodiversity, biodiversity become less. Genetic depletion, the genes will not transfer to the next, you can say, generation, and only one type of the genes will transfer, and that gene may will not resist the, you can say, diseases and other things in future. After that, you have deforestation. Deforestation means that you are cutting the trees. And what are the causes of the cutting the trees? They can be you are needed for the wood, and sometimes you are want to make some kind of the furniture and this thing. Sometimes the you can have the, uh, you have the land, and you will clear it for farming, for the roads, for the new extensions or settlements. So here they have given the different pictures in which you can see clearly that what are the causes of the deforestation. After that, impacts of the deforestation, another factor, that if you will cut the trees, so first of thing that lot of the organism, they have the habitat there, and they will lose their habitat, and then again the biodiversity issues will come. After that, you have the soil erosion and desertification. If the you cut the trees, so there are chances of the soil erosion and desertification. Desertification means that some agricultural land or the green land will convert into a desert. Climate change, the climate is also changed due to different reasons. Greenhouse gases are become more, and again the loss of biodiversity. Managing the forest, how means what is the importance of the forest? They are the carbon sink, they store the carbon dioxide, they also you can say store the carbon, the important role in the water cycle. Then you have prevention from the soil erosion, then ecotourism, the lot of people come to see the forest and other things. And after that, measuring and managing biodiversity. So how you, what is a biodiversity mean? All species are living in the one ecosystem. Okay, so that is how they are interlinked with each other. How you can measure the biodiversity? That is the sampling has two main things. Random sampling means you will just randomly choose the, you can say, things to research on them. Systematic, that you will choose within a by a system, it's not random. And for that you have what, the quadrate. This is one of the method for systematic. You will put this like a web on somewhere, and whatever, you will count the numbers of each organism in within this one, then you multiply the area of the total population, the total you can say the area of the forest or whatever the ecosystem you can see here. Then after that you have transect. It is similar to the to a quadrate, but here what you will do, you will just draw a line, and within that line you will put the quadrate. And after that you can see here, and then you have the pitfall trap, and it will, when for especially for insects, then you will count that how many insects are living there. Then you have the potter is, as I told you, that it is an instrument which is used to pick the insects and then transfer to the lab. You can see here how they are moving, and it's here. These are the three methods: quadrate, transect, and pitfall trap. So their advantages, disadvantages are here. You can compare them. Our strategies, how you can conserve the biodiversity, what are the strategies you can do, and they are sustainable harvesting of the, you can cut the trees, but up to specific things, only the mature trees you will cut, whatever you need, only you will cut on that. Then you will cultivate more, and mean whatever you cut, you will plant new trees. Sustainable forestry means selective logging, only cut the trees which are really mature. After that, agroforestry mean that we plant the trees within the crops. You can see here different examples, and here also. And this is good because the trees, they provide a lot of minerals to the crop, and also it will stop the soil erosion. Then you have allied cropping. Only the difference here, you have a large space between the trees. And national park, they are also used as a, if you want to converge the biodiversity or the ecosystem. Flora means all the plants. Fauna means you have the all the animals. So now wildlife ecosystem reserves, a lot of countries, they have this ecological reserves where they put the animals there, and especially the animals which are you can say danger of on extinction. Okay, wildlife corridors, I told you, if they're two type, if the same type of habitat, and between the road is going, river is going, or any other thing, so you will make the road so they can move from one place to another. After that, you have world biosphere. I told you world biosphere is the same like a park or a big area where the people, the government, they preserve the natural ecosystem. And after that, what are the importance? They help the conserve the ecosystem. They use to develop the ecosystem. They, if there is already damage, they restore it. And they also use for education and research purposes. Role of a biosphere, it is really good. The biosphere, it will improve the ecosystem, repair it. You can divide into zones: transition zone, buffer zone, and the core zone. They're saying that in core area, not the ecosystem need a protection, only you will cover that one. No one is allowed, only for research. Buffer zone, research and tourism is allowed. And the transition zone is like a liberty, the people can live there, community can live there. There are the advantages. If any country has the biosphere, what are the advantages? Getting the funds and this one. Then you have the seed bank. It's also another way to transfer the, you can say, preserve the ecosystem. Then you have the role of zoos and captive breeding. It's really good. The zoo also, the it kept the, you can say, the system, the animals or the organisms which are in danger, and you can also produce their, you can say, the and then you have that breeding system here, and in the breeding system you have a lot of, you can say, you can take the, say for example, tiger from one country and tiger from another country, male and female, and you can increase their population. By this one, their gene will be not be depleted, and you will get the new genes. That one, waste reduce and breeding, here they're saying that you should, that when you are doing that the fertilization, so you try to use the different type of the partners instead of the only repeating the same one. After that, sustainable tourism and ecotourism, that the tourism and the ecotourism should be in such a way they will not affect the ecosystem, they will fulfill your need of the present and they fulfill the needs of the future. So this is the end of the chapter. I hope, is it clear to you? Any question? Anyone? Any question?
No, thank you.
Okay. Now we'll move towards the
Yes.
multiple choice. You can say the past.
Deforestation,
Deforestation means they are cutting the
Cutting of trees.
trees.
cutting the
Okay.
trees.
Good. Okay. After that, they state two causes of deforestation. If they are cutting the trees, what can be the possible reason for that?
Like building.
Yes, you are building, means that the new settlements. If the city
Yes.
is expanding the new, what else?
Mm,
You just studied. You cut the trees by your need. You need for wood, for furniture. You want to make something.
for
That's
good.
awesome. Okay. Sometime you will also cut the trees for agriculture, because you want to make the agriculture there. You cut the trees and then you will cultivate the crop. So these are the different, you can say, reasons. So you can do the deforestation.
Okay.
Can you see this one? Any
Yes.
two you can write: timber extraction, logging, farming, roads, mining. You can see even for the roads. Okay. Now see, this is the food chain. You can see the food chain.
Yes.
Okay. So in this food chain, what is the question? Question is that state the name of the producer in the food chain. Who is the producer?
The tree.
The tree. Good. Okay. So you can see here. After that, they're saying that forest provides habitats and food for many organisms. Explain the other reason why the forest should not be cut down. Already they told you about the habitat. What can the other things you should not cut the trees?
Carbon dioxide intaking because global warming.
Yes, for example, they are taking, storing, they are the sinks for carbon dioxide. Good. Then
Yes.
what else?
Other reason. Okay. Site pollution.
Pollution, okay, the carbon dioxide, that one you can say.
I said site pollution.
Site pollution, good, yes, for the scenery, that is fine, yes, sorry. Okay, then the soil erosion, they also stop the soil erosion.
Yes.
Okay, so good. So you can write acts as a carbon sink, carbon store, photosynthesis, supplying the oxygen also, you can also. Okay, biodiversity, lot of things, prevents the flooding also, water cycle, they are important. So this is the first question. Good. Okay, who is the other volunteer now? Okay, now see the question. This is, can you see the screen?
Yes.
So what is the question number now?
Yes.
Question number 9. So here they're saying the question, the one impact of the climate change is a rise in sea level. Yes, when the climate is changing, the glaciers, they are melting, the sea level is increasing. Since 1900, the global sea level has risen by more than 200 millimeter. So if you talk about like since 1900, this one, in the last 30 years, the rate of the sea level rise has increased around 1.7 millimeter per year to 3 millimeter per year. Before it was 30 years before, every year increasing 1.7. But in the last 30 years, it increased from per year 3.3 millimeter. Now, what is the question? Calculate the sea level rise from 2021 to 2030 if the sea level continues to rise as the ratio of 3.3 millimeter. So how much will be the rise? So simply what you will do, you will see how many years. How many years? 2030 minus 2021, so 9 years. And what is per year? That is 3.3%. So when you will multiply, you will get 29% 7, or if you round it, it will be 30%. Is it clear? Okay. Now the second one, state two impacts of climate change other than the sea level. Yes, we know that. Now we discussed in the previous part that sea level is increasing. What are the other two? You can say warm temperature, the heat waves, the droughts, more extreme weather, tropical cyclone, high wind, storm, flood, change of habitats, a lot of things. You can say if there is a climate change, you can face all these things. Then next, describe how some vehicles increase atmospheric carbon dioxide. Yes, because you are burning what? Combustion. We are burning the fossil fuels. Which fossil fuels? Coal, natural gas. When you burn them, so carbon dioxide is produced, and that is increasing the atmospheric carbon dioxide. Okay, now they're saying the student said the best strategy for stopping climate change is to ban cutting down trees. One of the students said that if you want to stop the climate change, so first thing you should do, you should stop the cutting the trees. You should not allow anyone to cut the trees. Okay, this is his point of view. To what extent do you agree with this statement? You can be agree or you can disagree. Give your reason for the choice. For example, if you want to agree, why? For example, agree means yes, this boy is right, this student is right, yes, this is good to stop the cutting trees. And you should give a reason for that. And if you say no, it is I'm not disagree, what is the reason for that? Anyone who voluntarily want to answer this question or participate? Okay, Lean.
Yes.
Okay, Lean. First of all, you agree or disagree?
Yes, I agree.
Agree. Okay, what is the reason behind that? Can you tell me? Okay, if you cut the trees, what can happen?
Yes. Like climate change is caused by the greenhouse gases, which is like carbon dioxide. And the trees, they are like a sink for carbon dioxide. So like if you ban down cutting of trees, more carbon dioxide is like taken from the atmosphere, and so you stop climate change.
Okay, good. Really good. Excellent. Okay, then someone else also raised the hand. Who is that? Can you tell me? I didn't see the other hand. Lean, behind you, there is someone. Can you raise the hand again? Who is that? Okay, Ola. Ola, okay. You agree or disagree?
I agree.
I agree. Okay, Ola, for one moment, disagree. Okay, I'm saying disagree. Okay, for example, we say we disagree with this one because they said ban the cutting the trees. If you ban the cutting the trees totally, so It means that maybe you cannot make the roads, you cannot make the new settlements, maybe you cannot fulfill your needs if you need the wood. Understand or not? So totally you should not ban. What you should do, you should ban the illegal one, which the people are doing without the government permission. And if you are cutting, okay, you should plant the new ones. So there are possible responses. Got it, Ola? Now you tell me, okay, you agree. So what is your reason for agreement, for example? Can you tell me?
It was because because
Yeah, you can
trees
say
sink of carbon dioxide as
dioxide.
carbon dioxide released to the atmosphere. It just forms layers, which stops the emission of heat back to the other,
Greenhouse gases
which
and
basically causes global warming.
global warming. Okay. Also, it's not good for the ozone layer, these pollutants when they go up. Okay. So now here multiple, you can say answer. For example, now see here. The level of response, they said that. Now you can say agree or disagree, it's up to you. For example, if you agree, for example, here is agreed. So what is agree? Climate change is caused by the greenhouse effect. Carbon dioxide is one of the main greenhouse sources. The trees remove carbon dioxide in a process called the photosynthesis, like all this one, the same you have mentioned. So that is fine. Now disagree. Now disagree, they're saying a ban is hard to enforce, but you can do only the people who are doing illegally. Okay, most countries, they depend, their economy depends on the trees. They cut the trees, they make the things, and they import it and get the money. So you cannot do it. And sometimes you also need for as a fuel. So there are different, you can say, reasons, and only thing that you should not ban completely, but you can do it on the in a management base, that you can say, okay, you can cut, but you have to put the more tree. What I want to tell you, this is your liberty. In this question, you can agree, you can disagree, but you should have a strong point. Both are right. Or don't think that always agreement is a good thing or always disagreement is a good thing. No, it depends on you, your information in your mind, what is good for that, and then you can use it. Is it clear, anyone, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so this last minute, after that we will start the meeting again and we'll go to the next question.